Good morning, good morning. Welcome back as we are entering the brave new era of tech and artificial intelligence. Galen is here to speak on how we navigate AI in education. Joining us on the couch, we have Dr. Dorian Barrow, and he is the Director of STEM and AI and Robotics Center over at Galen. Good morning, Doc.
Thank you very much.
And we also have with us Zane Duhene, and he is the Program Coordinator over at Galen University. Good morning, Zane.
Good morning.
And joining us via Zoom, we have Adjunct Lecturer Dale McDougall. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen. It's all about, we're in a different era, Doc. We're in a completely different cultural time as we are trying to combat artificial intelligence, or not even combat, but
we're
accepting and how do we, integrate it ethically into our society, particularly in education.
Well, first of all, thanks for having us. Galen, of course, have taken a policy position on AI. And we were delighted to hear that the region, CARICOM, via CXC, have also taken a policy position on AI, which is essentially to embrace AI, right? Mm-hmm. We really recognize the transformative potential that artificial intelligence has, particularly in the area of teaching, in the area of learning, but for us as universities in the areas of research, but also in how we administer the university. So what we have established is a policy on AI that have several components. One of the major components is how are we going to be integrating AI into the ecosystem of the university, mm-hmm. right? Where everybody does AI. The faculty does it. The faculty utilize AI as a tool. Students use AI as a tool. The staff use AI as a tool, mm-hmm. right? And of course, we provide services in that in that area also. For us, it is a very, very, very important tool that can help to drive learning, that can help to facilitate teaching, that can help to innovate in terms of research, right? And that can help us to provide greater service to the wider community. And that is kind of our orientation, which is very similar to the orientation that the region has in fact taken, right? Zane, for example, teaches in several programs, right? And he can talk in detail in terms of how we integrate AI into our classrooms at Galen.
Zane?
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks again for having us. Like Dr. Barr said, and you guys mentioned, it's about integration. Mm-hmm. We know it's here. Mm-hmm. It's here to stay. Mm-hmm. But I think across academia, we've been battling how do we develop methodologies and approaches that try to let AI be a complementary mm-hmm. in learning. And I think what we have done is create a framework through this policy that Dr. Barr was speaking to try to let educators and facilitators start introducing concepts within their classroom. So what we have done, I teach in the disaster risk management program, and we have used AI to develop applications. So students came in with no technical or coding background, and we have managed to leverage AI by using that to do a lot of the coding and groundwork. And they have developed applications within 2 hours of the classroom, and the applications that are meaningful and that have a purpose, that have long been just concepts, but the students develop applications for disaster alerts, applications for emergency alerts, and they have done that coming from a non-tech background. So, the possibilities of artificial intelligence are endless.
Let me ask a quick question here, and perhaps either of the three of you gentlemen can jump in. So we've accepted the fact that artificial intelligence is very much a part of our present and future existence. It's here to stay. You guys are in the education sector. At what point or where along the academic journey do you believe it's the fittest place to introduce artificial intelligence in the classroom? Do we begin at the primary level? Do we begin at the secondary or tertiary levels?
For me, I think it's similar to all concepts. At the earlier, the better. To promote its ethical use is where we want to go, and the ethical use doesn't necessarily start with always introducing tech. So, it's about research. It's about how to source AI within documents, because it's a good research tool, but we could teach you that just reference and give the academic accolades to who deserves it. So we teach them that we don't proper citation. So it starts at an early age and it moves along your academic journey. So if we could start it within primary school curriculums, moving into high schools, it's better for us when they eventually make it to Galen. They already come with that knowledge. So it's foundational for them, and we now go into advanced concepts.
Let's get you in on the conversation here, Dale. You're an adjunct lecturer at UB.
At Galen.
At Galen, my apology. You and I would come from the old school where there was no artificial intelligence when we were taking our courses. As a lecturer, how are you dealing with the introduction of this particular tool in the classroom?
Good morning, everybody. Isani, thank you for the question. One of the things that I do certainly is I've had to shift my perspectives on the impact of artificial intelligence in education and learning. I am not afraid to say that initially I was one of the skeptics. One of the questions I had was, where do we strike a balance between the embracing of technology and academic integrity? And because I teach writing at the university, I teach a couple of the English courses there. I've had to find myself shifting my perspectives on how we approach teaching writing with the usage of artificial intelligence. For one simple reason, the students will continue to use it whether we like it or not. So why, instead of being resistant and get resistance from students, why not embrace it and help them to establish their academic voice that way? So what I do, because as Dr. Aguilar mentioned in an interview we did with Paul last week, we're sort of navigating through a forest that we ourselves as lecturers don't know what lies on the other side. Right. So, and then what we're doing is we're trying to help students navigate all of that. For my courses specifically, I pay attention to helping students establish their academic voice very early, with writing samples throughout the course, make it interactive, make it interesting, hear their perspectives on some of the material that we teach, and pay a particular focus on the ethical use of artificial intelligence, because as a university, we're also trying to create global citizens to participate in meaningful global citizenship. So while we have our concerns with the usage of AI as a replacement, what my colleagues and I at Galen are doing now is using it as a tool to enhance the educational experience. So for me, I use writing samples early in the term to help them establish what type of writers they are, what their academic voice is, and then use that to help them develop their papers, particularly where research is concerned.
I think my question, because I was also a skeptic of using AI in the classroom as well. How do we ensure that we're not eliminating the human factor? And what I mean by that is tools are here to help us to make our lives easy, right? As you all rightfully mentioned, it's a complementary tool. It's not here to replace us. But how do we ensure that it's being used in a manner throughout all fields? We heard how Dale uses it in his English classes, where when they've graduated from Galen, they are not just self-sufficient in their specialization, and they have these AI skills, but they're still able to retain a particular human skill that can allow them to do meaningful and critical thinking and be analytical. How are we able to retain those skills?
Well, that's a very, 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 very good question, and it's central to the kind of research that I do in this area. I start from the position that we have to prepare students for the future that is going to be shaped by AI, right? And we have to do that within a framework. And the Caribbean, the Caribbean region have gotten together and have come up with a framework that we have adapted basically in our policy, where we're highlighting that there are levels, right? There are levels of which you could integrate this technology into your ecosystem if you have a business, or into your life. Certainly the way how we do it, right, where we make it clear that it's not every solution needs AI, right? Many of the solutions, right? Many of the solutions don't necessarily need AI.
Right.
And so we have to develop at the same time those critical competencies, right? Critical thinking, how to work collaboratively, and these kinds of C's that they would be able to function in and out of that particular context. So that is a part of the experience too. We are not going to abandon that, right? Where the student becomes completely dependent on that, right? And then of course at the second level is the level where you're using AI, right, to generate ideas, right, and to support efficiency, right. So you're using it in a very specific way for a specific purpose, right. The other level is when you use it really, you have made your presentation, you've written your news story, and you're using AI now to help you to make that news story better. Because one of the things that we have to admit is that the algorithm, right? The algorithm is good, you know.
Depends on how you use it. Depends on how you use it.
It can write as good, if not better than most of us, right?
Okay, so I'm laughing, right? Because
just recently,
as news director, that's right up my alley, right? And I can pride that my colleagues in the newsroom are expert writers, right? But when it comes to having a discussion about the use of artificial intelligence in journalism, you have a mixed bag. You have people who would be proponents of using AI tools to assist in storytelling or news writing, if that were the case. And then you have the traditionalists who would cry holy hell that goes against the grain, right? But the truth of the matter is, while I can appreciate someone who's a pure writer, that person may not be able to conceive a certain angle to tell a story from, but when they plug it into an AI platform, it helps you to shape the direction in which you're telling that story, right? And so it creates, for me, a sense of an efficiency and a direction. If I give a reporter an assignment to go out and do a story, my first question is, okay, so what is your angle? So if you feed that into the platform, it could point out various directions in which you can tell the story from. Perspective, right? Versus sitting there trying to cram, how do I begin to, tell the story? Let's get you on this deal.
Yes.
Let's get Dale on this quickly.
Can you hear us? Dale?
Are you
Hello,
first, Dale?
Dale.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm here.
So we're having this discussion here on how the media uses AI to assist really, and the way that it's able to assist in navigating the way we tell stories, the way we draft up certain news items and so forth, and not leaving the human aspect out of it. Let's get your take on that.
Oh, certainly. That's one of the challenges with that we have as because I teach writing courses. So that's one of the challenges that we have, and that's one of the reasons I said earlier that I certainly help students establish their academic voice very early in the term with specific projects. Because one of the things that will happen with when AI assists with writing is that one of the cons of that is certainly the reduced human interaction, certainly, but there might be potential bias in some of the algorithms which make information that they will spit out a bit inaccurate. And so those are some of the cues that I look for when I know that certain students are using artificial intelligence. So instead of penalizing them for wanting to use the technology, I go about it in a different way. I would say to them, okay, this seems a little bit, this is outside of what you normally write. Explain to me what was the wisdom behind choosing this as your submissions, right? Your work. And ultimately, what we have to do now as lecturers is to look for those types of writing cues and to help students understand better why it is important to have their own selves, their humanness in the writing submissions. Simply because we don't want for students to get to a place where they have to consistently rely on AI because they're too lazy or they're unmotivated or they're uninspired. So I argue, well, let's use what you've come up with. Let's use what Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever you've used to help you inspire the work, to help you from a formatting perspective, perhaps, or to remind you to take writing and research as a place where you establish your academic integrity too. So by putting in the proper in-text citations, developing the arguments based on the research that they've done, that kind of thing.
Well, gentlemen, this has been a very insightful conversation. I think that we could spend a longer time talking about AI. It's still relatively new to us and how we can manage it, but kudos to Galen for taking that step up and leading really the education system when it comes to how we navigate AI in the classroom. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for coming.
Thank you too.
Well, thanks for having
All
us.
right.
Thanks for having us. And we look forward to future discussions.
Indeed.
This and related.
All right, we are going to take a break and we're going to switch gears into some small business conversations. That's right, we have the owner of Creating Sweet Surprises with Delightful Sweet Baskets. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.